Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG Podcast. I'm Ty Glenn. Hopefully, you guys are having a great Thursday. We got a lot of Stanley Cup playoff news to discuss in, what is this, day 5 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. This playoffs started on Saturday, April the 18th. So, yes, this is day 5 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. We got lots to discuss on this playoff edition episode of the Hockey Talk with TG Podcast. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So we'll start things off with the Pittsburgh Penguins and Philadelphia Flyers Game 3 game. The Philadelphia Flyers hold off the Pittsburgh Penguins for a 5-2 win at home in Game 3 on Wednesday. They lead this best-of-7 series 3-0. And they pushed the Penguins to the brink of elimination. I don't know how some of my colleagues or acquaintances or buddies feel about that, because I do have some of those buddies, acquaintances who are Penguins fans. None of them are Flyers fans. Some of the people I talk to, they are Penguins fans. And I predict the Flyers to win the series. I didn't want to tell them that, though, because I didn't know how they feel about it. But yes, I did predict the Flyers to win this series. I did not predict them to win it in a clean sweep. In fact, I wanted to see this go to 7 games. So we'll see what happens in Game 5. But this was the Flyers' first playoff home game since 2018. And coincidentally, it was against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Their division, long-time arch rivals, the Pittsburgh Penguins. They had their first home playoff game since 2018, which that was a Game 3 game, just like this one. That was back on April 15th, and the Penguins won 5-1. They won that series in 6 games, and they closed it out in Philly. But today, this time around, it is a different story. It is a different story. Crosby's not in his prime. I shouldn't say that. I like Sidney Crosby. I grew up watching Sidney Crosby, so I try not to, say negative stuff, because I grew up watching him. He is an absolute legend for sure, and a future Hall of Famer. So, but yeah, the Penguins just have an aging core. I don't know, but at least the trio of Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and Chris Letang got to go on one more playoff run together. And what better way to do it than going off against your longtime rivals in the Philadelphia Flyers? But overall, though, this was, for the Flyers in this case, this was their first playoff appearance since 2020, and they beat the Canadiens in the first round in 6 games and lost to the Flyers. Can I speak today, guys? I am talking too fast as usual. But they beat the Canadiens in the first round in 6 games, and they lost to the Islanders in the second round in 7 games. Trevor Zegras, Noah Cates, they each had a goal and assist for a 2-point night. And when Trevor Zegras scored that power play goal in the second period, the roof just came off the place. It absolutely exploded. And Trevor Zegras, he had a one-time moved from the right face-off circle for the power play goal, went over to the penalty box, gave a little tap on the glass or so to his teammates, because there was 5-6 guys in that penalty box, because this was doing after a line brawl that they had in the second period, and some penalties were assessed to both teams. Flyers ended up getting the power play goal though. So this was after the line brawl that they had when Trevor Zegras scored that power play goal back in the second period. Porter Martone got an assist on Trevor Zegras' power play goal. And how good has he been since joining the Philadelphia Flyers? This kid has been playing unreal. He's putting the whole city of Philadelphia on notice. He's going to be the next big thing in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. So, coming to the city of brotherly love, just giving the Flyers fans, they love him for sure, and he's been playing unreal since joining the Flyers. He might be a contender for the Calder Trophy next season, though. We'll just have to see. He is the fourth teenager in the past 25 years with at least a point in each of his first 3 career playoff games, joining Kirby Dach, who had 3 with the Blackhawks in 2020 when he was playing for the Blackhawks. I thought Coach Dach was a little bit better. I'm just saying. Patrick Laine, who had 3 straight playoff points with the Winnipeg Jets in 2018. And, of course, Sid the Kid, Sidney Crosby, who had 3 straight playoff points with the Penguins in 2007. Rasmus Ristolainen and Nick Seeler also scored for the Flyers. In fact, him, Nick Seeler, and Trevor Zegras all had their first career playoff goals. None of these guys have ever been or have scored in the Stanley Cup playoffs until now. Of course, Rasmus Ristolainen, with all the years that he's been on the Buffalo Sabres and them having their playoff job, but I'm pretty sure he wishes he was back in Buffalo, considering that the Sabres are in the playoffs this year. And then Trevor Zegras with the Anaheim Ducks, who are also in the playoffs this year. He hasn't made the playoffs with the Ducks, but he is in the playoffs with the Philadelphia Flyers. So different orange for Trevor Zegras. I just like that second period in general. That second period, to me, that fueled the Flyers to this 5-2 win. I mean, we got the goals from Trevor Zegras, Rasmus Ristolainen, and Nick Seeler all coming in that middle frame. Those goals coming in a 6-minute span of the second period, by the way. So, I'm telling you guys that I really did. This has been one of the best entertaining series so far. But behind Boston and Buffalo, right under Boston and Buffalo, this has been one of the best entertaining series I have watched so far in this year's Stanley Cup playoffs. And then, of course, going back to the Flyers and Penguins game, Owen Tippett, he iced the game away with an empty netter. Dan Vladar made 28 saves on 30 shots facing nets. I'm pretty sure a lot of Flyers fans were happy to see Vladar still play this game after taking a collision with Penguins for Brian Rust. So they showed a replay of this. The game was broadcast on TNT, by the way. They showed a replay of Rust going to the net, or at least in the crease almost. And then he took Dan Vladar, like he took knee to the arm. Like Brian Rust's knee ended up hitting his arm. And so he was hurt for a few minutes. Thank God it wasn't the skate blade, because as we've seen before, or if you guys have watched hockey long enough, you've seen some really scary injuries where players would take a skate blade to the hand. Like I remember Evander Kane, I don't know if he was on the Oilers or the Canucks at the time when this happened, but I think it was a game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. He was on the road and he took a skate blade to the hand, and he ended up needing immediately attention. He skated off fast to the locker room, and he took a skate blade to the hand. So thank God it wasn't the case for Dan Vladar. And he didn't get hurt, so he was okay. I mean, the medical staff did check on him to see if he was okay, if he was good to play this game. Erickson was getting ready to come in because he was looking at Dan Vladar thinking, man, am I going to come into this game? But Vladar was okay, and Flyers fans were happy about it, cheered him on as he was still good to go in this game against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And Vladar, he's been playing tremendously so far throughout this series. He's been playing tremendously perfect so far throughout the series for the Philadelphia Flyers. Like, I think if Vladar had went down for the Flyers, I don't know where this series would be at. I don't know if the Flyers would still get it done without Vladar, or if the Penguins would turn the series around and then they end up winning the series. So I don't know how would this series go without Dan Vladar. So he was good to go. He was hurt for a few minutes, but he was good to go. He played the rest of this game against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So happy to see that, especially for somebody that picked the Flyers to win in this series against the Penguins. Again, no disrespect to the Penguins, but I just feel like with that aging core and them not being as good as the Flyers this season, and the Flyers, like I said, have been an absolute wagon. I knew that once they made those additions to their roster, I knew right away. I've been down with this team since day one of the 2025-26 regular season that started. And I knew right away they would make the playoffs. I love watching this team throughout the regular season. I hate that they won both their games against the Blackhawks, but hey, it is what it is. This team has been absolute fun to watch. Flyers fans getting the treat out of it as well. Been an absolute wagon, been an absolute unit. So I love watching this team. Trevor Zegras has been doing really good since joining the Flyers. Sorry if you're a Ducks fan tuning into this podcast, but yeah, the Flyers have just played absolutely great hockey so far, and it's been a blast watching them. We'll see if they can go for the sweep on Saturday or not. But going to the Penguins side, Genny Malkin and Erik Karlsson scored for the Penguins. Both of those goals that they scored came on the power play. The power play was 0 for 7 in the first 2 games of the series, so it finally went through, and I think that's one of the things that we talked about on last episode of the Hockey Talk TG podcast. We talked about the power play need to come through. I want to say it did come through, but they ended up losing the game. But it came through in this game, though. We will say that. It came through this game. Penguins with a sigh of relief for the power play, because we really need to see something from that power play, and it came through. It was 0 for 2 in game 1, 0 for 5 in game 2, and now getting on the board with a power play goal from the game Malkin, and then, of course, from Erik Karlsson. Sidney Crosby had an assist on and getting Malkin's power play goal. First point of the postseason for Sid the Kid, and also making a little bit of history along the way, as he is now up to 202 playoff points, 71 goals, 131 assists for 202 playoff points in his career. He passes Jaromir Jagr for 5th all time in playoff points. So congratulations to Sidney Crosby, an absolute legend for sure, and a future Hall of Famer once it's all said and done. And another fun fact, this is the 50th time that Sidney Crosby and Genny Malkin have factored on a playoff goal. I mean, it's been very fun over these last 20 years or so watching this trio in the playoffs and them winning Stanley Cups together. And Rick Tocchet, who's the current head coach of Philadelphia Flyers, he knows his Penguins team very well. I mean, he won a Stanley Cup with them as a player, and then winning 2 more as an assistant coach back in 2016 and 2017. So he knows this team very well. He knows his team very well. He knows Sidney Crosby very well. He knows the team very well. He's been with the team before. He won a Stanley Cup, like I said, as a player. That was back in 1992, and then 2 more as an assistant coach in the back-to-back seasons in 2016 and 2017. For Stuart Skinner, who's having a worse playoff performance as we've seen before with his hometown Edmonton Oilers, made 24 saves on 28 shots faced the net in this game. He finished this game with a .857 save percentage, and this whole series in general, he's had a .873 save percentage and also a 3.08 goals against average. Penguins, like we talked about, and I'm pretty sure all Penguins fans know this. Like I said, I have a couple of buddies and acquaintances who are Penguins fans. They're on the verge to being swept in this series. Now, this rivalry playoff series between these two teams has not seen a series sweep since 2008. And ironically, it was the Penguins sweeping the Flyers that year in 2008. And they went all the way to the Stanley Cup final, lost to the Red Wings then. The Red Wings were in the Western Conference at the time. Penguins still in the Eastern Conference. But at least a year later, they won the Stanley Cup against Detroit in 2009. So, yeah. But, yeah, the last time that these two teams have went at it, and there's been a series sweep, was in 2008. Penguins swept the Flyers in the 2008 conference finals that year, advanced to the Stanley Cup final. But we could see another series sweep between these two teams 18 years later if the Flyers can get it done on Saturday. But overall, this series has been very competitive. It's been very physical. We've seen a lot of scrums in this series. We've seen maybe 1 or 2 line balls in this series. So it has been, like I said, it has been a very fun and entertaining series to watch until this point. So yeah, there has been a lot of times over the years in the playoffs when these teams have went at it, and I really enjoyed it. I love watching these teams go at it, especially come playoff time. One of the best rivalries in hockey. But yeah, I don't know if this is going to be a back and forth series just like ones in 2012 and 2018. 2012, the Flyers won that series in 6 games, and in 2018, the Penguins won in 6 games back in 2018 against the Flyers. Both of those being in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So we'll talk about what the Penguins need to do not get swept in the series, to force a Game 5 back at home. I believe that will be on Monday because Game 4 is on Saturday. So Game 5, if necessary, will be on Monday. So here's the situation with the Penguins. And just to know, I do use Natural Stat Trick, which is a analytics hockey website that I use for some of my notes in my podcast. So, yeah, it's a very good website. Just starting a podcast, and if you want to talk analytics and stuff, I recommend using Natural Stat Trick. But anyways, here's the situation with the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're down 3-0 in this series to the Philadelphia Flyers. Honestly, it's not just bad luck for the team. There are some clear issues that have shown up in every game, as we've seen so far, as Penguins fans have seen so far. Game 1, they didn't have it. They did not have it in Game 1. They were sloppy, too many turnovers, no real chemistry, and it cost them the game. Game 2, like I said, Game 2 was an impressive Game 2. It was not worse. They did get shut out, though. They did get shut out. But I thought overall, though, they had a better Game 2 performance, but despite the loss. They couldn't get past the Flyers. But I thought Game 2 was very good. It was very good Game 2, but the execution for some of those chances that they had in Game 2 just wasn't there. And then in Game 3, that's where things really fell apart. The Penguins started off okay. They got the power play goal from Evgeny Malkin back in the first period. But once things went sideways, especially in that second period, the Flyers scored those 3 goals in a 6-minute span. They lost their composure, had a couple penalties, had a couple scrums. Bad decision, which as a fan, you would like to see those scrums because you would like to see a physical, competitive series like we've seen so far. But as a player, you got to be like, you can't be taking the unnecessary penalties. You're already down in this series. You got to make every moment count almost. And I felt like the Penguins didn't do that. Flyers took full advantage in this one. So if the Penguins want to avoid getting swept, a few things that they have to change immediately. First, they need to stop playing the Flyers game. Right now, it's slow, it's controlled. That's exactly what Philly wants. They want to see that out of the Penguins. The Penguins need to speed things up, get pucks deep, crash the net. Oh, man. Excuse me. Vladar is making these clear-cut saves. He's staying composed. We need to see some second chances from the Pittsburgh Penguins. Get at Vladar immediately. Generate those second chances. Outshoot the Flyers. Like I think so far in this series, the series has been kind of close in terms of shot on goals. We need to see a huge Game 4 performance from for the Penguins. Excuse me. They want to avoid getting swept. Second, discipline. This is huge. That's why. This is one of the reasons why they're down the series 3-0. They are getting bait into penalties, and it's killing them. And it's killing them. That's what the Flyers want. That's what they want. That's what these fans want. They want to see a competitive series. They want to get under the Penguin skin. They want to get under Sidney Crosby's skin, as they have been doing so far throughout the series. That's what they want. They're trying to let you come in and get under your skin, but it's the Penguins. You got to stop it. You got to stop taking the unnecessary penalties. Yes, the Flyers, they're going to talk trash to you. They're going to chirp you. They're going to get under your skin. They're going to try and do all these things that they can do to take you off your game. You got to be disciplined to that. You got to, not let that happen and stuff. You got to go out there and play your game. You got to go out there and stay composed. We have not been seeing that so far from the Penguins throughout these first 3 games. I mean, from a fan standpoint, you want to see the scrums. You want to see the fights and stuff. But as a player, especially if your team is down 3-0 in the series, you cannot let any of that happen. You cannot let any of that happen. So that's what I would like to expect from the Penguins heading into Game 4. And then for the third thing, like I've been saying off air, on air, their offense. Their offense. I know they have an aging core, but they got Sid the Kid. They got to get him walking. They got Chris Letang. They got the young guy, Ben Kildno. I don't know if Rucker McGroarty's on the team or not, or if he's playing in the AHL, but they have a solid offense. I mean, if they did, we wouldn't see them in the playoffs because not a lot of us expected this team to be in the playoffs. We expected them to be in the stakes of getting Gavin McKenna. If they didn't have a solid offense, they wouldn't be where they are today. So their offense needs to come into play this one. They can't just rely on the power play. You got to get traffic out in front of the net. You got to take the shots, even the ugly ones. You got to make every shot count. Whether it goes in, whether it doesn't, whether it gets blocked, got to make every moment count. That's why I talked about the Penguins outshooting the Flyers in terms of shots on goal, in terms of shot attempts. We need to see that in Game 4. Got to create chaos out in front of the net because Dan Vladar is reading every chance clean. He is one of the reasons why the Flyers are where they are, leading 3-0 the series already against the Pittsburgh Penguins. You got to confuse him a little bit if you're the Penguins. You got to confuse him. You got to get chaos out in front of the net. You got to get those scrambles out in front of the net. You got to chase those pucks. You got to get second chances. You got to do everything you can to take Vladar off his game. And then that goes to my next point. Being locked in. Every time something goes wrong, things start to derail. It starts to go off focus for the Pittsburgh Penguins. When things start to go wrong, Penguins need to respond immediately after giving up a goal. At the end of the day, they need to fix everything. Everything needs to be done right for the Penguins. If they can win Game 4, it's a 50, well, I wouldn't say 50, but it's a slim chance that this series could go to 7 games. If they can do all the things that I discussed, what these fans discussed, what these analysts discussed, if they can do all that in Game 4, slim chance that this series could go to 7 games. But right now, even though I did predict the series to go to 7 games, I'm just not seeing it. I would love to see it, but reality, I would love to see it, but reality, we're just not seeing it from the Penguins. Like, they need to get it together. If you're a Penguins fan, I'm speaking from a Penguins standpoint. If you're a Penguins fan, you would agree with what I'm saying. But Game 4 is Saturday. It's a 7:00 p.m. puck drop. This will air on TBS, True TV, and HBO Max. The Flyers will be looking to advance to the second round for the first time since 2020. Pens looking to force a Game 5 back at home at PPG Paints Arena on Monday, April the 27th. And keep in mind, there's only been a few games where teams have came back down from 3-0 and won it. I'm not saying the Penguins could be one of those teams. I mean, they could be. They could be. If we see some of the stuff that I just talked about, their offense, their discipline, not letting the Flyers get on the skin. If we see some of that, it is a slim chance they can come back and get this a reverse sweep. I'm saying slim because right now I don't see it happening. In reality, I don't see it happening, but it could happen. It could happen. I want to see this series go to 7 games. I really do. I want to see this go to 7 games. But right now, with the way the Penguins are playing, with the way Stuart Skinner is playing, it's just not happening. But I want it to happen, but right now, I'm not seeing it. But yeah, there's been a few games with teams that came back down from 3-0 and they won the Stanley Cup. I mean, well, two of them won the Stanley Cup. 1942, Toronto Maple Leafs, Detroit Red Wings. The Leafs were down 3-0 to the Red Wings, came back, won the series, and they won the Stanley Cup that year. 1975, Islanders, Penguins. Good Metro Division showdown. I don't know, that's what it was called back then, but good Metro Division showdown between these two opponents. Islanders down 3-0 in their quarterfinal series against the Pens, came back, won the series in 7 games. 2010, Flyers, Bruins. The Flyers, just like their arch rivals, the Penguins are now. They were down 3-0 in their second round series, except only difference was that was second round, this is first round. But Flyers in 2010 were down 3-0 in their second round series against the Boston Bruins. Came back, won the series in 7 games, eventually went to the Stanley Cup final. They got beaten by my Chicago Blackhawks in 6 games when Patty Kane scored their overtime game-winning goal in 2010 to win the Blackhawks their first Stanley Cup in 49 years. And then you go to 2014. LA Kings, San Jose Sharks. Kings were down 3-0 in their first round series to their California division rivals and arch rivals in the San Jose Sharks. Came back, won the series in 7 games. And they eventually, unfortunately, I should say, went on to win the Stanley Cup. And I say unfortunately because they had to get past my Chicago Blackhawks to win the Cup because they were facing off against them in the conference finals. Beat them in 7 games that year, and then they won the Stanley Cup against the New York Rangers. The bigger context of this, excuse me, the bigger context of this is only 200 plus times teams have trailed 3-0 in NHL history, and only 4 have ever come back to win the series in 7 games. That's why it gets called a miracle comeback. That's why it's called a reverse sweep, because it basically, in reality, it doesn't happen a lot. It does not happen a lot. So this is one of those rare times that it could happen, especially if you're the Penguins. So, like I said, don't count Sidney Crosby out. Still a chance that the Penguins cannot let this end in a sweep. It is a slim chance that this goes to a Game 5 back in the Steel City on Monday. It just all depends on how the Penguins play their tempo of game heading into Saturday's Game 4 in a pivotal game for both these teams. For the Flyers to get it done in the sweep, Penguins looking to force a Game 5. We'll just see how it goes. We're moving on to Game 3 of the Dallas Stars and Minnesota Wild. As Wyatt Johnson, he scores the overtime game-winning goal as the Dallas Stars win 4-3 against the Minnesota Wild. This happening in double overtime, by the way. Wyatt Johnson scored on the power play with 7 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in double overtime, scoring on a deflection out in front of the net, off the shot from Miro Heiskanen, and that's game right there. And we've seen this a little bit familiar before with Joe Pavelski during his time in the NHL. And for Stars fans, I'm pretty sure they'll have to agree with what I'm saying, because we saw a lot of that from Joe Pavelski. Joe Pavelski, one of the teams that he played on, he didn't just play on the Sharks. He did not just play on the Sharks. He also played on the Dallas Stars as well. And we've seen a lot of times in his career of him deflecting the puck out in front of the net, getting there at the front of the net, crashing the crease, deflecting those pucks in. We've seen that a lot of times in his career. And I don't know if Wyatt Johnson said this in his post-game interview or not. This game ended around, I think, 11:30 or so. Like, I don't know. It was just a late game. Had school the next day, so I didn't get a chance to watch all of it, though. But I did look at some notes and stuff I wanted to discuss about the game. But I don't know if he said this in his post-game interview or not. But I don't know if he said this or not, but from my perspective, I think when Joe Pavelski was on the Dallas Stars, might have been teaching Wyatt Johnson a thing or two about deflecting those pucks out in front of the net and getting there at the right place at the right time, timing it to deflect those pucks out in front of the net. And if he did teach him that, it certainly paid off in this one as the Dallas Stars take a 2-1 series lead. Fun fact, Wyatt Johnson actually led the NHL with 27 power play goals back in the regular season. So he is no stranger to scoring on the power play and coming up clutch on the power play. Excuse me. Game 4 will be in Minnesota on Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Central Time. This game will air on TBS, True TV, and HBO Max for you guys to watch. And another fun fact, Wyatt Johnson became the 8th player in Stanley Cup playoffs history with 6 game-winning goals before turning age 22 in this one. And it was the big guys that stepped up for the Dallas Stars this one. And we talked about before, on air, off air, Dallas Stars have a great offense in general. It certainly paid off for these first 2 games. Game 1 was a little bit sloppy. Game 2 was better. Game 3 was extremely better. But yeah, the big guys stepped up for the Dallas Stars. Jason Robinson and Matt Duchene each had a goal and 2 assists for a 3-point night. Mikko Rantanen had a goal and assist for a 2-point night. And Mikko Rantanen, he scored his 44th career Stanley Cup playoff goal and tied Teemu Selanne for the 3rd most by a Finnish player in NHL history. And Jason Robinson, he became the 4th star / Minnesota North Stars. They were called the North Stars back then. I don't know if a lot of Stars fans like to hear that, but they were called the North Stars back then. And Jason Robinson became the 4th player in Stars / Minnesota North Stars franchise history to score in each of the first 3 games to begin a postseason, following Steve Payne, who did it in 4 games back in 1981, Dave Gagne or Gagner, or I don't know how you pronounce that name, but he did it in 3 games back in 1994, and Dino Ciccarelli, who did it in 3 games back in 1981. Jake Oettinger, the hometown Minnesotan, he's from Minnesota, made 28 saves on 31 shots faced the net against his hometown team. And for the Minnesota Wild, Marcus Johansson, Joe Eriksson Ek, and Michael McCarron scored for the Wild in this one. Jesper Wallstedt made 32 saves on 36 shots faced the net. Special teams took over in this one. They took over this one. It proved the huge factor in the Stars winning this game in double overtime, and the Wild dropping this game in double overtime. The Stars finished 3 for 7 on the power play, and they finished 6 for 7. 6-7. It's what the kids love doing these days. 6-7. I know you guys can't see it, but I am doing the 6-7 hand thing in the studio. 6-7. Get the kids going. But yeah, the Stars finished 6 for 7 on a penalty kill in this one. Wild, on the other hand, they were 1 for 7 on the power play and 4 for 7 on the penalty kill. Overall, though, they had their chances. The chances were there in this game for the Minnesota Wild, but they just couldn't convert on them. And, excuse me, I don't know if I need to blow my nose or not, but I am sniffling a little bit. But anyways, what the Wild need to do heading into Game 4. Game 3 for the Wild, let's talk about Game 3 first. Game 3 for the Wild was, one of those games where the numbers look fine. Like I said, the chances were there. The scoring chances were there. Maybe even high danger chances. Like I said, I didn't watch the full game of this one. But I saw some notes about it. And based on those notes, I just kind of gave my own perspective of it. But yeah, the chances were there. Scoring chances were there. Maybe even some high danger chances. But they just couldn't convert. And result was a different story. Sorry, guys. I don't know if I'm sniffling or not, but I might need to blow my nose. So give me just 1 second. I hate to do this while I'm live, but sorry. Just give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I was sniffling. I tried to hold it through until the end, but I couldn't. But anyway, for Game 3, the chances were there for the Minnesota Wild. They just couldn't convert. They just couldn't finish on them. The execution wasn't there as well. They had decent puck control overall, though. They weren't getting pushed around. And in fact, they spent a good amount of time with the puck. But the problem is that possession, they didn't work out well. Like I said, I don't know if they had any high danger scoring chances in this game, but based on natural stat trick, like I said, it's It's a good website for, analytics and stuff. I'm telling you guys, if you ever start your own podcast and if you want to talk analytics, that's the site to go to. But some of their puck possession didn't turn to enough real, extremely high danger scoring chances. And the high danger scoring chances were heavily tilted in Dallas' favor, and that ended up being the difference in this one. The Wild also had multiple chances to take control of this game. Like I said, the chances were there. They had power play goals in regulation and then 2 more in overtime. Or I should say they had 2 power play chances in regulation and then 2 more in overtime. But they just couldn't convert. And against a team like Dallas, that's what comes back to hurt you. That's what comes back to hurt you. And what stood out most in this game was that Minnesota wasn't getting enough traffic and chaos in front of the net. A lot of their offense came from the outside, while Dallas was getting more of the cleaner looks in tight. So heading into Game 4, it is pretty simple. The Wild need to turn that puck possession into pressure. They need to be the better, like I said, between offense, the Stars had a better offense. Let's just face it. They have the better offense. But the Wild need to take control of that offense, and their offense needs to step up against a high-power offense like the Dallas Stars. We also need to see more net front pressure, quicker decisions on the power play. Power play needs to get going. The power play needs to get going. They need to step up in this series when you're playing a team like the Dallas Stars. Because in a game like this, especially in overtime, it's not about who controls more of the ice. It's about who actually cashes in when the chances are there. And Dallas did just that. Steal this one and take a 2-1 series lead. But just looking at these first 3 games of the series, Game 1, Wild was the dominant team. They won 6-1. Game 2, I don't know, but they lost that one 4-2. Game 3 was a huge loss, especially with the chance that the Wild had. So you can kind of tell a trend in this story where they're dropping in this series. They don't want to go down 3-1. If you go down 3-1, it's a slim chance that you won't be able to come back in the series. So Game 4, we need to see more of the offense take control. We need to see that puck possession turn into pressure. We need to see more net front presence from the Minnesota Wild and then capitalizing on those high leverage opportunities. Game 4 is this Saturday in St. Paul, Minnesota, the State of Hockey, coming on at 4:30 p.m. Central Time. This will air on TBS, True TV, and HBO Max for you guys to watch. And then the last game of the night, the late game, Anaheim Ducks, Edmonton Oilers. The Ducks will come away with this one with a 6-4 win in Oil Country on Wednesday in Game 2. Carly Gauthier coming up clutch for the Ducks with that game-winning goal. 4 minutes and 52 seconds remaining. Scoring on a rebound, burying it from the bottom of the left faceoff circle into an open net. He actually scored twice in this game, but that goal in the third period really helped out as well. Game-winning goal right there. Ryan Poehling also picked up 2 goals in this game. His second goal of the game was an empty netter that iced this game away to seal the deal, and the Ducks tie up the series at 1 game apiece. Game 3 will be in Anaheim, SoCal, California, Orange County on Friday at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. That game will air on TNT, True TV, and HBO Max for you guys to watch. Alex Killorn, he had a goal and 2 assists for a 3-point night. Jacob Trouba also scored for the Ducks in this one. Lucas Dostal, he made 33 saves and 37 shots facing net. This was actually his first career playoff win for him. So congratulations to Lucas Dostal. For the Edmonton Oilers, Leon Draisaitl had a goal and assist for a 2-point night. He's at 4 points since coming back from injury, 1 goal. 3 assists for 4 points. That's coming back in the series for Leon Draisaitl. He had those 2 assists in Game 1, and then plus a goal and assist here. That is 4 points right there. So he's been a huge factor for the Edmonton Oilers so far throughout these first 2 games of the series. The Oilers want to make this an interesting series. They gotta lean more on Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, but it's been Leon Draisaitl taking charge so far throughout the series. Connor Murphy and Zach Hyman also scored for the Oilers in this one. Josh Szymanski, I don't know if I pronounced that last name right, but if I didn't, please correct me in the comments. But he also scored for Edmonton in this one. Connor Ingram made 22 saves on 27 shots facing the net. Connor McDavid is still without a point in this series. First game, we didn't see a point. Second game, still without a point. Oilers going to have to lean more on Connor McDavid as well. It can't just be Leon Draisaitl. It has to be Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl taking charge in this one. We've seen a lot from Leon Draisaitl. Haven't seen that much from Connor McDavid. That needs to change heading into Game 3 if you are an Oilers fan. And fun fact, according to my friend Richard, we talk a lot about hockey, by the way. So 24/7 talk right there. Love talking to Richard about hockey. But he had told me in Game 1, the Ducks dressed one of their defensemen as a forward solely to act as a shutdown, or Connor McDavid. Which, I mean, it paid off because like I said, we haven't seen Connor McDavid without a point in this series. And I'm pretty sure that they used the same defenseman. He told me the defenseman was Ian Moore in this one that had played a forward position and shut down Connor McDavid. It paid off because he didn't have a point in that one. The Oilers ended up winning that game, though. But he had a shutdown position to Connor McDavid. Paid off. David without a point in Game 1. Pretty sure it paid off again, too, because he was still held without a point in Game 2. And the Ducks ended up winning this game, by the way. So 100% it paid off. I don't know if, like I said, Richard and I, we've been talking off air about this series. I'm not sure if this will work throughout the whole entire series. In fact, I don't even see it myself working this out throughout the entire series. Because Connor McDavid, he's just built different. He's an animal. He's a beast on the ice. So, arguably the best player in this league right now. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to get on the score sheet eventually. I mean, he has to. But I just thought that was a good strategy for head coach Joe Quenneville to have Ian Moore be dressed as a forward to play that shutdown position on Connor McDavid. And we've seen before. This isn't the first time that we've seen a defenseman play a forward position. We've seen that before with previous players in the NHL. Like, for an example, Dustin Byfuglien, when he was playing in the NHL. He was seen mostly as a defenseman, in my perspective, but he also played a forward position as well. So we've seen that before where coaches would put a defenseman as forward. So, but for Coach Q, who had success in the playoffs before, winning 3 Stanley Cups as a coach for the Chicago Blackhawks in the 2010s. Great era for hockey, by the way. I grew up watching hockey in the 2010s. That was my childhood right there. But anyways, he's had success with the Blackhawks in the 2010s before coaching them and leading them to 3 Stanley Cups. So I'm pretty sure the Ducks would love having Coach Q in the playoffs. It's gonna pay off. That strategy right there, putting Ian Moore as a forward to shut down Connor McDavid, that was a good strategy. So I love that strategy. We'll see how Game 3 goes as the Ducks return home to Anaheim with this series knotted up at 1 game apiece. That is a 9:00 p.m. puck drop on Friday. This will air on TNT, truTV, and HBO Max. Stanley Cup playoff games on the slate for today. There's only 3 Stanley Cup playoff games on the slate for today, starting with Game 3 between the Buffalo Sabres and the Boston Bruins at 6:00 p.m. Central Time. This will be in Beantown, Boston, Massachusetts, at TD Garden. This game will air on TNT, truTV, and HBO Max. The series is tied up at 1 game apiece, with the Bruins winning 4-2 in Game 2 on, what was it, Tuesday or Monday, with them winning Game 2 on one of those days after losing their lead in Game 1 to the Buffalo Sabres. That was an electric game, by the way. Electric game. Like, that was one of the best playoff games I watched in all my years of watching hockey. But yeah, this series is tied up with 1. We'll see who takes the 2-1 series lead. Then we got Game 3 between the Carolina Hurricanes and Ottawa Senators at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. This will be in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and this will air on TBS and HBO Max. Hurricanes lead this best-of-7 series 2-0. And then we got Game 3 to wrap up the Stanley Cup playoff game slate between the Colorado Avalanche and the LA Kings out on West Coast, Los Angeles, California. at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. This will air on TNT, True TV, and HBO Max for you guys to watch. Avalanche lead this best of 7 series 2-0. The Stars will be out in LA for sure. We might even see Will Ferrell there at the Kings game. Probably might even see Snoop Dogg, D-O-G-G at the game too. But I wasn't talking about those Stars. So they might be at the game though. We'll see. I was talking about the Stars between the Avalanche and the Kings. Nathan McKinnon, Nate Dahl, Nate Mack, Cale Makar, Gabriel Landeskog, Scott Wedgwood, Mackenzie Blackwood. And then for LA, Anze Kopitar, who's going to be in his final season in the NHL, looking to close out this series on a good note, although it might be a little bit difficult to do against a team like Colorado Avalanche, but we will see. And then we got is Drew Doughty still playing for LA? I don't know. I don't think he's played the first 2 games this year. He might have. I just wasn't paying attention because this was a late night game. Then we got Quinton Byfield, Darcy Kemper, who played for the Avalanche before, won a Stanley Cup with them back in 2022. So the Stars will be out in LA on the West Coast. Might even play California Love by Tupac. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in as always. Really do appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button on YouTube, and make sure that you are following on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Both of you guys have a great rest of your day. Keep God first as always. Be blessed. And see you guys next time for another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG Podcast. Take care.